Hi, I'm Peter Brusso with Richard Bentley here for Marketing Podcast 101. Welcome to the podcast. Dick, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Peter. How about yourself?
Frustrated as hell, but that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, hey, one of the things I wanted to bring up was, we both went to, I don't know, what do you call it? It was a small business.
They called it a small business fair, and people who were interested or had a small business were invited to come. It was free of charge, and they were going to give presentations on, you know, using social media for your business, tax breaks, and all sorts of things that I guess a small business person should know.
Right, and basically, I think the keynote speaker was a social media expert, so to speak. That is going to be the subject, I think, of part of this conversation at any rate.
Right.
And we both walked away really well. I walked away almost depressed, seeing what was being given to a room full of people, standing room almost only. They kept adding more chairs, so people were very interested in social media and how to use it for their businesses. Most of the businesses appeared to be, really small business, which is like what we are. And this gentleman had a canned PowerPoint, but mostly was an advertisement for Constant Contact and him being an affiliate of Constant Contact. And um, people ate up everything he had to say, and a good portion of it just wasn't true. What's your knee jerk on what you saw, Dick?
Well, Peter, I come at it from a different perspective than you do. I mean, you are a recognized expert in this field, along with Denise Sawyer, who works with you, and so you come at it from the knowledge of total knowledge of what should be done and what shouldn't be done. I come at it from the point of view of a person who is just learning about social media, the do's and don'ts, and how to utilize it for my home-based business. And so my knowledge base is a lot less, but I think I can come at it, from a viewer's point of view, that I learned more from you and Denise in a 15-minute conversation 2 weeks ago than I learned in an hour and 15 minutes with this gentleman yesterday. And in fact, I think if I hadn't have spent the time with you and had the knowledge, I would have walked out of there in worse shape than I walked in, because he neglected to go into some very important parts of of social media etiquette. And that's what you shouldn't do, and how you should approach social media. He didn't touch that at all, and I think people who didn't have the benefit of spending time with you and Denise absolutely are going to walk out of there maybe in worse shape than they walked in and not know it.
Yeah, and we had a laugh about that this morning. Free is free. You get what you pay
Yeah,
for, so to speak, but you never
yeah,
expect it to work against you.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah, there
That's
there are
right.
things worse
You,
than free.
it's hard to get ripped off when it's for free,
Yeah,
but
but
I
they
think
did.
people did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did. And
yeah,
and I've been touting this for a long time. The social media explosion is really where Web 3.0 takes over, and it's cutting edge, bleeding edge in some cases, and it's a wave of the future. And still, very few people even know about it. I mean, they know, they've heard the buzz, but they don't know anything about it. There's no real good place to go get the information that's required these days. Obviously, podcasts like this and the ones that we've done with Denise are excellent. I'm encouraging her to start her own podcast series up with that as well as I think that you and I need to kind of take 101 down a rabbit hole a bit on social media and Web 3.0, which I want to actually add a whole new category to 101 marketing that
yeah,
specifically will deal with that area. And the
yeah.
other thing I thought about too, we need to talk this out, but I mean we need to go on the road. We need to go, you, me, Denise, the computer guys for, computer security, and we need to get a road show together to help small business and take these to the chambers and give these free lessons and kind of an ensembled approach to people to help them out. What do you think about that, Dick?
I think that's a very good idea. I think if we could take the audience that was there yesterday, and they were going to spend almost 6 hours there listening to presentations, if we could talk to that same audience and address the computer needs, the social network needs, web page building, SEO things, how to start from a legal point of view, what kind of protections you need and things like that, and maybe from like with Mark, with your telephone, advertise your phone, we could probably do that in an hour and a half tops.
Yeah.
And make it 10 times beneficial than what they received yesterday. So I think it's a very good idea.
It's interesting too. I mean, is it SEO or SOE?
Yeah.
Our expert didn't know
Yeah.
which of the two it was.
Yeah.
And then he kept talking about your keywords and he doesn't understand what keywords really are and how
No.
you find them and how you utilize them. And
Right.
the other thing that really blew me away is he says it's okay to take somebody else's articles and post them on your website and your social media. All you have to do is to give them credit. That's
Yeah.
not true. On two accounts, that's
No.
not true. First off, it's
Right.
it's plagiarizing, somebody else's stuff,
Right.
and you need to get permission if you're going to do that.
Right.
Well, there's three things. The second thing is that Google absolutely hates duplicate content, and if
Right.
you put out duplicate content, you're going to get zinged big time or even delisted from Google.
Yeah.
So suggesting that people just go grab other people's stuff for content was crazy, haphazard at best.
Right.
And then third, there are some social medias where you can retweet what somebody else tweeted. That's okay, and Google gives you
Right.
a little bypass for retweeting or repinning things. But boy, just taking content and sticking it on your pin and giving somebody else an attaboy for it, that's
Right.
just not okay.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that's one of those cases you talk about free. You're getting ripped off from free if you try stuff like that.
Yeah. I think you said it this morning. We were talking. I think as a person is starting his business, what's the concept of the business? What's his goal?
Right.
What's his expertise in that field? I mean, if you've never cooked and you've never run a business and you start a restaurant, you might be in trouble.
Well,
So you really need to, you really need to go through the thought process of how and why I want to start a business. And
yeah.
then after that, you put the foundation in. And I think that's what you're talking about for our roadshow is here's the foundation of blocks that you need to get your business going and be effective and be cost effective.
And there's so much as we gave a talk last Friday, to a group of seniors, but as you can see from that talk, of course, you knew most of that material anyway, but they didn't have any idea how complicated
Right.
really building websites that make you money really are.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
No, I think you're right, and I think in that vein that they have to determine what do they want their website for, because you can use it as I'm using mine more as a landing page and a place to send people to with an easy URL that gives them an overview of what my business is about, and then I can connect to my Legal Shield back office where they can get all the detail they want. Or do you really want, like some of the clients that you have that we know mutually, you really want to drive people through the SEO process to your website? So you really need to look at both ends of that.
And I think almost anybody that's starting to use social media obviously wants to build people coming back into their website. So
Right.
they obviously are using it not for an online brochure, such as yourself,
Right.
or a landing site
Right.
to get people warmed up. And
Right.
there's reasons to have both of those, no question, no
Right.
question.
Right. absolutely.
But so a roadshow ought to be happening. The other thing that, I got a chance to stand up at the very last moment there to specify that a social media campaign is a conversation,
Yeah.
and it's not a sales pitch. The other thing that the gentleman didn't understand was he was really harping on Pinterest being the place where so many sales of clothing and shoes and everything happen. Well, he didn't understand that Pinterest, the people that belong to Pinterest, are 60% or over 60% women.
Yeah.
And if you have a product that's kind of down the line of a female product, you ought to be on Pinterest before you're anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, go where your customers go is one of the
Right.
great questions you have to ask yourself. Where are my customers on the web, and where are
Right.
they with social media? Facebook is more like a family. Twitter is more like a news brief, and so what are you left with? He really didn't understand Google Plus very well. Very powerful tool. And it's not just one of these things, it's an ensemble of these things, but then you can go crazy. And the other thing I completely disagree with is that, it doesn't take any time at all to do your social media, because he wanted to use
Yeah.
Hootsuite, which is a great tool and all, but it's got duplicate content problems.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do that at
Yeah.
all. And the stuff that you would put on Twitter, you wouldn't put that same thing on Facebook per se. They're a
No.
completely different message, a completely different
Right.
world, a completely different application.
Right.
And one of the things that didn't come through clear is the whole concept that each one of these social media is like a country of their own right, with their own language and their own customs. And you got to learn those things, or
Right.
else face the music.
Right.
And one of the things Denise pointed out that I forgot to I wished I could have said it, was if somebody does say something on your social media, you have 5 hours or less to respond to them. So you have to almost have a quick reaction force ready to rock and roll,
Right.
because it's a conversation. So you can imagine sitting around a dinner table and somebody saying something, and you wait 5 hours to answer them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's right.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
No. No.
So it's a completely different animal than a website per se.
Well, it is, and that was one of the things that Denise, pointed out to me, and made some recommendations, and since I've been doing that, I've gotten more social conversations going, and I'm getting more contacts and more followers, and I'm following more people, and I'm learning things from them, and hopefully they're learning things from me. But I never I did when you say it's a conversation. I never looked at it that way.
Right.
I looked because previously I just went on and viewed what people were saying, what my daughter or granddaughters were doing. I wasn't even looking at it from that whole business sense and Denise absolutely reminded me or made me aware of what I should be doing, and it's changed my whole outlook on social media.
I even got so fired up about it, and I mentioned it to you earlier. I want us to do some research and come up with the 10 cardinal sins of
Right.
social media use.
Yeah.
And I think we can come up with a bunch right off the top of our head. But that would be very
Right.
interesting as a primer for anybody getting started.
Right.
Sometimes it
Absolutely.
isn't so much about what to do as it is what not to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can do an awful lot of damage to your reputation or your business by
And your
doing or
brand.
saying the wrong thing.
Your brand.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, and your
Oh,
brand. I mean,
shoot.
absolutely. And I'm not quoting exact statistics, but they always said, if you own a restaurant, you get a complaint, that person is going to tell 10 other people who will tell 10 other people. If you mess up on social media, you got millions of people that are going to
Oh,
see it right away because it's just going to spread right throughout the whole media.
yeah.
So it's like I said, yeah, with the guy yesterday, he did a major disservice by just not even glossing over the don'ts. He just ignored them, and I think
he
that was
just
wrong.
he just hit the button, next, next, next slide. And I mean,
Right,
the most
right,
important thing is he had some to dos and some not to dos, and he didn't show any
right.
of that.
You, right, right. And I think as part of our presentation, I think that you don't need to get into the technical aspects of social media, but picking the one that's right for you, how to do it and what not to do.
Hmm.
Those are three pretty important things.
Yeah, I think so too. And
Yeah,
the big pitch yesterday was constant contact, and of course I like to use Aweber. But these are tools, to
yeah,
get people over and get them signed up, like list building. We already did a podcast on list building and
right,
the importance of list building.
right,
And
right.
Denise was reminding me this morning that, hey, as bad as I was beaten up, I mean, he presented email as a social media, not as a tool. And it's like email is not a social media.
No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. But it's an important part of anyone's business to have a
Oh
good
yeah.
email mailing list.
Yep.
But the way he was recommending going about it, I thought were a little underhanded, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me his whole goal for that session was to get everybody's business card to add to his mailing list.
Yeah, there was that for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
There was that for sure. And that's okay. I don't mind if people collect business cards and use them as an email. Do you?
yeah. No, I don't mind that at all. I just think just be upfront about it. That's all. You
Yeah,
know.
I
Yeah,
think because he's an affiliate for Constant Contact, he can get them
yeah,
all signed up, and he can make some fair amount of
yeah.
money with that, no question. But I
That's true.
thought the idea, and it was hosted by the state of California, was
Yeah,
the idea to give them some stuff that they could really take away and help
yeah,
their small business, not hurt them.
yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Absolutely right.
and so, matter of fact, whilst we're up here, let me give me a second to get over to 101 marketing. Here's we're coming up on it right now, Dick. You can't see it, but here's
No.
the URL up here. I'll put in the in on the show and in the show notes on the list building. It's only a minute
Yeah,
51 seconds long. Me driving in my car, you were laughing at
yeah,
me
yeah,
doing good double duties here.
yeah,
It,
yeah. Great utilization of time.
of
That's
time
for
and
sure.
effort. Yeah, no
Yeah, yeah,
kidding. And then
yeah,
so that'll be up on the web. But list
yeah,
building is really important because an opt-in list like Constant Contact, but in our case, I like Aweber.
yeah,
You can essentially those people give you the right to market them because they like your brand, they like what you're doing, and
right.
like in that particular, Aweber has a phenomenal function that when somebody signs up, you can actually start a campaign, of one email after another, after another, after another over
Right.
a series of times. So a person signs up, they get a welcoming email and they get something for free. Typically, like he talked about yesterday, absolutely true. They get something of value, not just
Yeah.
free, but something of value. And,
Right. Right.
like a checkoff list, like the list I use to evaluate websites, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, in the self-defense weapon world, they get the four laws of an attack. The four stages of a violent attack, and
Right. Yeah.
so I mean, if you don't think about it, I imagine you wouldn't have thought that there are four stages of a violent attack, and you can
No.
foil the attack at any one of those four
Yeah.
stages.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have thought it at all.
Right, so that's a
Yeah.
valuable thing that they get when they sign
Yeah.
up in their case,
Yeah.
because they're obviously polarized around self-defense. Now, if we have a
Right.
social media thing, we got to give them something, like the 20 stupid things people do with their
Yeah.
social media as a
Yeah.
giveaway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was really funny too when he saw. Did you see him look at my CD-ROM card and Denise's CD-ROM card?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he immediately knew that. Whoa, there was something going on there. I actually should hold
Yeah.
up
Well,
one of
that's
those things. I'm gonna
yeah,
have to
that's
show it.
probably why he came to you at the end to ask you the question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You notice he didn't do that with anyone else. He said you're in social media, so obviously your card, gave him the clue.
It was pretty high speed from that standpoint.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think one of the takeaways, if anybody sees this that is planning a social media discussion, for God's sakes, do your homework.
Yeah,
Yeah, and not put people up there that are really going to hurt your potential or the people you're talking to. You got to make sure they're not going to say stuff that's going to hurt them.
right. Absolutely right. To me, the takeaway from this podcast is, you know, everybody says they want to be in social media, and a lot of people say they are in social media. The question is, are you in it the right way, the right place, and are you doing the proper things? And I think, if people are starting, I think and Denise are a great resource just to get a hold of to ask those questions and get some help. But also, I think that if we're able to put together kind of a roadshow presentation to help people out, that will be great too. But
Yeah.
I found over the last couple of weeks, just again personal experience, that just because I was signed up for all the LinkedIn's and Facebooks and Twitter and all these things, it didn't mean I was really in social media. I feel like the last 2 weeks after guidance from you and Denise, I am a novice, but I am in social media and going in the right direction. And it takes time. I'm a very impatient person, and I expected, I send out a blog or I send out a post or something. I expect everybody to come and say, okay, that's great, geez, what kind of product you have, even though I'm not advertising the product. But it doesn't happen that way. It takes patience, and
Hmm.
Denise says it takes 75 blogs before people even pay attention to you.
Yeah,
So
75 blog posts right before
yeah,
you're real.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
It's and it's true. I think unfortunately it's kind of true, but I mean in some ways, I mean even through our podcast to give you a shameless plug,
mm,
you know, in the litigious world of today, websites and social media can expose you to lawsuits faster than you
yeah,
can say jump over the moon.
yeah,
And for small businesses, we just don't have boatloads of cash laying around with attorneys on retainer like some of the
mm,
medium-sized companies do. So, I mean, Legal Shield is even more an asset, and I got signed up. Well, almost got signed up this
yeah,
week. I
yeah,
wrote a check, but I got to go over
yeah,
to the website and get signed up. But
yeah.
that, and you think about what you said earlier, a social media poo-pah that can cover thousands upon thousands of people. I mean, it can hit
Absolutely.
thousands of people because the multiplier is so large, and your
Uh,
exposure is even larger. So,
right.
that's something to consider about social media, guys.
Absolutely. Depending how successful you are, it will go from thousands to hundreds of thousands to
Yes.
millions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And if you're doing something stupid or saying something
yeah,
stupid that you're going to
right.
get sued over, like
Yeah,
plagiarism, taking
yeah,
this gentleman said you can take somebody's article and post it on your stuff
yeah,
and just give them credit and it's okay. And that is not true. That
right,
is not true.
right.
And it's like, oh my God, how can you say stuff like that?
No,
But
no, but just I think saying be careful what you wish for. If you wish to be in social media, go into it knowing how it works, what to do, what not to do, and the patience to one spend the time every day to do it, which this guy also poo-pooed as far as it doesn't take a lot of time, and two, the patience to give it the 3, 4, 5, 6 months that it's going to take before people start realizing that you're serious, you have a product, and maybe I should check it out.
yeah, I mean, just like these podcasts, it takes time.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no short way around making podcasts.
right,
You can only do, I mean, you could do 5-minute podcasts and
yeah,
it still will take you an hour to produce it by the time it gets
yeah,
said and done. So, but
yeah,
are they valuable? Oh, heck, you bet they are.
yeah.
'Cause people would rather watch us talk and understand what's going on than they would read any day.
Absolutely,
Any day.
absolutely, absolutely.
And that's the wave of the future. It has been that way since 2002.
Yeah,
When podcasting really started to come out of its infancy or into
yeah,
its infancy, maybe
right,
even too.
right, yeah.
But in the day and age, podcasting was considered the social media oil of business.
Yeah.
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 So, well, now
Absolutely.
there's people doing social media podcasts, which I'm hoping someone who may be within earshot is listening to do that, wherever they are. But
Yeah.
at any rate, so yeah, I'm excited. I think that if we could pull together a road show and then hit chamber of commerces to help people out, I think that
Yeah.
would be an immensely good thing to do for small business today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you.
And I'm out of coffee, darn it. That's a
Oh,
sad note.
yeah.
So, anyway, clean shaven and out of coffee. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Wow.
So, all right. Well, hey, Dick, good thing. So let's get some takeaways here. I think that one of the big takeaways for anybody is to do your homework on social media. Understand it's a conversation, not a sales pitch. Also, that one thing we didn't really harp on that hard, but every business has got some business goals. Make sure your goals are aligned up with the social media platforms that you want. Understand that every social media is like a country with its own language, customs, and culture. Learn those before you get in the water. And with all of that, have some clear goals in your mind about what you want to do with your social media. Don't plagiarize, don't steal. Have good, unique social media that's engaging. Pictures and videos are absolutely awesome in social media. And one thing we didn't talk about yesterday was if you could start a behind the scenes stuff that you're doing with your product, that's like platinum. People love to see the behind the scenes of what's happening. So,
Right.
anything you want to add to that, Dick?
Well, you pretty much covered it. I'll come at it again from my learning novice point of view that it's important that you understand, like Peter says, what the goal of social media is. Use the right one, use it correctly, and have the patience. I think that's the biggest thing that that other than what I'm learning on the do's and don'ts is patience because it doesn't happen overnight. If you've been on Facebook for 3 years, with your friends, saying on vacation here, I've done this, or I'm at this restaurant. Don't consider that as business social media. You need a business mentality for your business page.
Good job. All right. Well, thanks, Dick, and we'll bring this to a close and say goodnight, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
All righty.
Oh, Rowan and Martin.
There you go. Say goodnight, Dick. Well, a lot of people won't know what that is, so I'm going to say goodnight,
Yeah,
Dick. All right.
yeah. Good night, Peter.